Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. And this is our NXT review. And I thought this was a phenomenal episode of NXT. They built up hype for stuff next week. Hell, they even have something booked 3 weeks from tonight, which I think is incredible, and I'm super stoked for that. We had solid matches here. Great storytelling throughout the show for really a lot of the divisions, I thought. Yeah, I mean, this was one of the better episodes of NXT I feel like I've seen in some time, like in that elite tier. What'd you think about it, partner?
Yeah, this is definitely my favorite episode of NXT that we've had in a while. I enjoyed the hell out of this show. It was beginning to end entertaining, and there were some real highlights that I'm really looking forward to being able to talk to you about.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be amazing discussion throughout tonight on NXT TWitWoW. So with that said, let's get right into our first segment, Heat of the Night. And partner, do you have any heats of the night tonight?
No, I don't. Tonight was a really great show. I don't have any big issues with the show whatsoever.
All right, neither do I. So with that said, guys, let us get right into our NXT review. And partner, how do we open this baby up?
We open this baby up with a match, believe it or not, and we get right into Dakota Kai coming out, and her opponent tonight, to my shock, was Santana Garrett.
Yeah, it was really great to see her. I don't know if that means she's going to have any deeper affiliations with the company. I don't know if that means she's going to be a part of NYC2, but I know you've been high on Santana Garrett for so long. So what did you think about this match?
It was solid. It didn't really get a ton of time, but it was still able to kind of tell its story that it wanted to tell. Basically that, Dakota Kai is more resilient than Santana. And even though Santana might be a little more technically sound, Dakota's tougher. So at the end of the day, even though Santana does get some pretty impressive stuff in and shows off a little bit of her athleticism, she even did an awesome looking Muda lock. Kai broke it up with the ropes and then hit a Kai-O kick and then a more traditional running face wash. And then she ended up winning with the chiropractor.
Yes, I love it. I love it. As far as Santana,
for those of you that don't know what the chiropractor is, it is a sunset flip lung blower. It is cool looking as hell.
Absolutely. I think Dakota Kai needed this win, so I thought the right woman went over here. That said, Santana Garrett, I don't know if I doubt she's with the company. I could see her being brought back for NYC2, but I think if WWE would ever want to sign her, that's a really solid babyface on your hands. Because I feel like sooner or later, they're probably going to want to position Candice LeRae as like the top female babyface in the division. But I genuinely believe that Santana, with the proper push and everything, could really challenge her for that spot. If WWE, again, expressed interest, which I don't know why they should. She definitely played her part well. The Muda lock was great. But Dakota Kai, amazing. You can definitely tell that they're doing the slow burn story with her. And I think that's fantastic. So good win for her here. That's all I can say about it.
To be fair, they almost have to be doing the slow burn because she doesn't really have the credibility to do anything quicker right now. They really kind of killed her credibility pretty quickly with her cowering away from Shayna and then trying to stand up to Shayna only to get knocked back down. Like, they really need to repair that credibility for her.
Oh, and not only that, I think we've got kind of, and that's at least the idea they want to give us. Does NXT, a very crowded class of contenders right now, which is a good problem to have. So it'll just be interesting to see Dakota Kai's development, but I've got nothing more to say about it. Unless you do, we can move on.
I also, we'll talk about it later, but I also noticed that when Shayna later on in the night was running down the women's division, she didn't mention Dakota. So I wonder if that's a sign or if it was just an unintentional omission. But like I said, we will talk about more of that later. After this match ends, we do see EC3 arriving at Full Sail, and this is from earlier today. And then we get the announcements that tonight we're going to be getting Johnny Gargano versus EC3, but up next is going to be Shayna Baszler. But before we get to Shayna, we do see a video that was probably on, .com or Twitter or some kind of social media. Heavy Machinery talking steaks and weights, baby, steaks and weights. And Otis gets to go check on the steaks while Tucker stacks the weights. But as Otis is walking away, explaining to everyone how he likes his steaks thick and juicy and rare, not overcooked, just thick and juicy. And then he hears a clanging and banging that isn't supposed to be happening, and Tucker shouting in pain, goes to find out what the hell happened, sees two guys running away from the scene behind glass, and Tucker writhing in pain on the floor holding his knee.
Yeah, so we pieced together here that it's more than likely the Mighty. It'd be interesting if it wasn't, but it's just like, Chucky, and he just.
I love that, yeah, dude. I have so much to say about Tucker, about Otis Dozovic later when we get to that match.
I imagine you did. For now, I'll just say very straightforward, segment here to kind of set the tone for the match later on. It was supposed to be a tag team match, Heavy Machinery versus the Mighty. That changes. We'll get to that a bit later. What came after this?
Well, then we did get Shayna. She came out into the ring and called out the entire women's locker room. She says that no matter who they put in front of her, the answer will always be the same. She talked about how, well, everyone was asking me, how are you going to handle Nikki Cross? She's nuts. She's unpredictable. And then she says that when the dog goes rabid, you put it down. And she put Nikki to sleep. And then she even specifically calls out, is it going to be the best athlete in the Performance Center? Of course, referring to Bianca Belair. The Pirate Princess with the elbow drop. Of course, referring to Kairi Sane. Is it going to be Candice LeRae? And then she talks about, frankly, she should just stay home and take care of her husband. And then she even says that they had to have a second Mae Young Classic just to find a contender for her. But no matter who it is, they can scour the world. It won't matter because the answer will always be the same. They get put to sleep, and you hear, and still, your NXT Women's Champion.
I'm really digging Shayna's delivery on the mic.
She has really found her voice, dude. This was great.
Yeah, she definitely speaks with conviction and confidence. And see, this is why. Nothing against Ronda, but I feel like anybody that's new, whether you're a celebrity or you're not, it's good to go through this system because you just said the perfect phrase. Because Shayna's gone through the proper channels and done the work, she's found her voice. And that is huge for a performer to do in WWE and really in all of pro wrestling. Once you've found your voice, everything else I feel like really starts to come together. And she definitely speaks with confidence and conviction, and I love her for that. I love that she, lists potential challengers. And I love, too, that she promotes, in a very heelish way, the second Mae Young Classic. She said it's because of me that they have to have a second Mae Young Classic. They have to search for somebody around the globe that'll be willing to face me, which... who knows? That could be a shout out to your girl, Io Shirai, if she's in the Mae Young Classic and wins it.
Yes, it has to be. It's either going to be her or Tony. I mean,
which her and Tony have the story, I feel like.
Tony has the story to tell now, but we'll see, man. We'll see.
We will see. But yeah, great promo from Shayna. And I really got to give NXT credit. They have really made the NXT women's division feel important with how they've positioned Shayna as champion, which is how it should be. I mean, because she's finding her voice, as you just said. She's legit in the ring. The theme is badass.
Yes, dude. And I love Shayna's theme. It is so good.
And, I got to say to Shayna's credit because, she said, I think she said something along the lines of, has there ever been a more dominant, or I am the most dominant NXT Women's Champion? And people, chanted in protest. You heard some Asuka chants, which on one hand, I really liked. It's cool that the NXT crowd remembers their history and gives the due respect of people that kind of paved the path. But on the other hand, I'm like, you know what? If Asuka still had that aura about her, man, I'd be salivating for a Shayna Baszler Asuka match. Part of me still is, but I look at Shayna stepping into this role and I'm like, you know what? She's the one that was always meant to fill the void of Asuka, because Ember was always of a different temperament than anything. I feel like Shayna really is the spiritual successor in a way to what Asuka's reign was about. Just this really imposing, legitimate figure. And who the hell is going to beat her?
And I would even argue that Shayna is a better champion than Asuka because people want to see her lose the title more than they wanted to see Asuka lose it.
Absolutely. And she can do the trash talking. Asuka's best promo to me was the one she cut on Ember Moon where it's you're the moon, but, I'm the sun. So like I'm the sun goddess. And that was a really good promo, but that was like a video style promo. So I guess you could really rehearse it and stuff like that. Shayna can grab a stick like this in front of the crowd, promote Mae Young Classic 2, keep visible her contenders. Great heel promo. I think it does everything it sets out to do while keeping her on that above tier, right? She doesn't diminish herself to everybody else's level. She's like, no, I'm here, but this is everybody you should also be thinking about because they're gunning for me, but it won't matter because I'll put them to sleep. Just right. A great promo. I can't say enough good things about it, so I'm going to stop saying good things about it. Unless you have anything you want to add, we can move on.
No, yeah, I just think this was great. And let's go ahead and move on. We did get a Kathy Kelly interview with Danny Burch. We actually, before the interview even happened, we saw a picture of Oni Lorcan with his severely swollen eye socket, basically, because he has an orbital bone injury. And Burch basically just says, hey, once he gets back, we want to get back into tag title contention. And then the Undisputed Era show up. And Roderick Strong says that the Undisputed Era are at the front of the line for the tag titles and that next week they're invoking their rematch clause. And then we get a little more banter. Adam Cole calls Burch a loser. And then Burch tries to remind the Undisputed Era of their loss. But, and by the way, as this is happening, Kyle O'Reilly's facial expressions are just out of this world. They're amazing. Kyle O'Reilly is a national treasure. I keep saying it because it's fucking true. And then Adam Cole makes a really wonderful point. He talks about how, man, you and Oni have gotten so cocky lately, and I know why. It's because that North American Championship match that I gave to Oni Lorcan. Ever since then, you guys have been walking around here with your chins held up and all arrogant and cocky. And then Danny Burch really overstepping his bounds here. Danny Burch says, oh, well, you gave him a title shot, so why don't you give me a match too? So Danny Burch overstepping his bounds, suggesting that Adam Cole should give him a match. And Adam Cole, being the generous God that he is, does in fact allow Danny Burch to step into the squared circle with him next week. And later on in the night, we would find out that William Regal approved the match, so it will be happening next week.
I only have one comment about this because Burch, like, I like him in ring, but he's kind of blah as a talker. I feel like Cole was channeling his inner you because my favorite part of this wasn't even Kyle O'Reilly's facial expressions, even though I agree with you. Kyle O'Reilly was made for the fucking internet because, like, in this age of memes and everything, like, Kyle O'Reilly's going to survive and thrive. Like, there's just no question in my mind. But my favorite part was just when Danny Burch throws back the tag title loss in their faces, and Adam Cole just looks at him and he goes, what is this? What are you doing? And I feel like that was almost like what is this? Why is this heathen talking this way to Adam Cole? Yep. So yeah, yep. I really I enjoyed this. Look, I say it every week. Undisputed Era, with or without gold, there's just an aura about them, man. The way they carry themselves, the way they interact with each other and the rest of the NXT kind of universe, if you want to call it that, they're just on another level. Like they're guys. And see, now this is the thing, and this is the differentiation I have to make. While somebody like Ronda could have really benefited going to NXT, I feel like guys like Undisputed Era, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, all of them, going to NXT, that's more doing NXT a favor because they could be called up tomorrow and I'd fucking believe it, right? So that's kind of my thing. That's how elite I think these guys are, is just like NXT, them being there. It's really doing NXT more of a service. Now, are these guys like learning anything there? I'm sure they've picked up a few things, but like they're so good from doing this for so many years and then coming together like this. I don't think I've ever seen any of these guys be better than what they are right now. And I do submit that to you respectfully because I do count Adam Cole in that. We've seen him in ROH, we've seen him in New Japan, but I don't think he's ever been better than the stuff he's doing right now for me.
Yeah, just on the mic alone, like Cole and Strong in like 14 to 16 PWG were putting on the kind of stuff that we're getting now, but they definitely seem to have stepped it up, even if it's only a little bit since then, just because of how great their work was back then in PWG. But still, like, yeah, this entire faction really is on another level. And I can't, honestly, here's the thing. Bobby Fish is the least interesting person in this group, and I'm still really looking forward to him being able to get back in the ring because he's like, that's what he does. That's his forte, is he is amazing in the ring. So I'm looking forward to getting him back between the ropes.
Absolutely. So, with that said, we'll see Adam Cole cast down the ambitions of Danny Burch. Praise be to Adam Cole, baby. And we can move on to our next segment.
Yeah, we need to get the titles back next week. It's going to be, easy as pie now that we don't have the disadvantage of Kyle O'Reilly being on maybe 6 hours of sleep tops over the last week, like he was at the Royal Albert Hall show.
Yeah.
He literally said that he didn't sleep for 196 hours and 17 minutes. Like, you can't win matches in that status. And even if he got a good 6 to 8 hours of sleep that night, that's so much of a sleep deficit. He probably hasn't even made up for it by now, but I'm sure he's made up for it enough by now that he's going to be around 80%, which is really all we fucking need to beat Bate at 7. Come on.
Whoa. Don't be shortchanging those thighs, though. But regardless, what came after this?
We got an announcement that up next is supposed to be the Mighty versus Heavy Machinery. However, we know from earlier on in the night that might be a little bit of an issue. Then we get a video package highlighting War Raiders. And I just love these guys. They're just so wonderful. And they even say in the video package, the war is here. The raid has begun. So War Raiders are awesome. They got a highlight package. And then we get a recap of Ciampa challenging Black for the title last week. And we find out that championship match happens in 3 weeks.
Ashton, because this is happening at an NXT and not a takeover, can I just tell you how I think that match is going to go down? Just for my thoughts right now. I think Ciampa's going to win, and we are, in fact, going to get Gargano Ciampa at Brooklyn for the title. I think that's why they're doing this on NXT, because I think they realize, look, Brooklyn's one of our most special takeovers that we do, and it's got to be headlined by these guys for the championship. So I'm just calling my shot early. I think Ciampa wins. I really can't see any other way they'd want to go with this personally. At the moment, my mind could very easily change. What about you? Do you have any early predictions?
Dude, I am flabbergasted that this isn't happening on the takeover. I thought that we would be getting Black Ciampa on the takeover. So, I mean, there might even be a chance that Gargano interferes and they have to figure out some kind of a stipulation to keep Gargano out of it, or they could do. I feel like there was another match that had something like this, but they could make Gargano like a special guest referee. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Absolutely.
So there are a lot of ways that they could go with it. We could have a definitive winner, and if there is a definitive winner, I do think it will be Ciampa. Like if I had to pick a winner where I just have to be black or white, one guy wins or the other guy wins, I would rather pick Ciampa to win than Black to retain.
I almost want to. You know what? There's a discussion I may potentially want to have about Aleister Black, but I want to wait before we have it. We'll see how this title match goes. But yeah, I am very much looking forward to this match. I'm fucking hyped. Ciampa's
so that'll be on Wednesday, July 25th. That's a month before I turn 28 years old. I'm so fucking old. It's gross.
Yeah, it's okay though. We still love you.
But yeah, man, that match I am very much looking forward to. And like I said, I am shocked that that's happening on NXT television instead of at TakeOver Brooklyn 4.
Absolutely. But dude, I'm excited as hell for it. Ciampa's one of my favorite guys working right now. And that even goes beyond like a Johnny Scumbag thing. Like when you're just good at what you do, right? It's just you gravitate. I feel like everything's clicking for Ciampa right now. So what did we get after this?
Well, after this, we did get a match, but it was not a tag team match. It was a handicap match. The Mighty versus Otis Dozovic all by himself. And I enjoyed the hell out of this match. This was so much fun to me. The Mighty are amazing heels. They get so much heat. The crowd despises them now. And Otis has an insanely bright future as a singles babyface. He reminds me of like Daniel Bryan in a powerlifter's body. Like he's got that it factor.
Well, you know what was crazy, Ashton? Like, I was thinking about you while this handicap match was going, because this isn't the first time you've said this. You've said this quite a few times when Heavy Machinery is the topic of conversation. And I kind of smiled to myself thinking, you know, Tucker Knight was the one taken out in the segment and Otis got the single spotlight. I mean, it was a handicap match, but he was going in alone. So I'm wondering, and this is really what I came away from the handicap match with, besides the fact that the Mighty are fucking awesome. Yes. Is that I wonder if NXT agrees with you and that Otis really is like the big single star to come out of this, because they gave him that airtime. Yeah. And that was very telling to me. So what do you think about that?
I definitely see the same thing. Yeah, like I'm getting that same vibe that I'm not just saying that because I see something in him. I think that it's kind of obvious enough that I definitely believe WWE sees it too. And I think most people probably feel the same way about the Street Profits with Montez Ford being the star of that duo because even like Meltzer and people are shitting on him because he said, Montez Ford and his wife rather than specifically saying Montez Ford and Bianca Belair, even though he had the room to do it on Twitter. But the fact that he specifically singled out Montez Ford tells you that like he sees the same thing that we see as far as him being a star of that duo. I think more than just I see Otis as the star of the Heavy Machinery duo. And honestly, they might even be gearing up to give him a little bit of a push sooner than rather than later, like sooner than we realize.
Yeah, and I would be all for that. As far as the match itself goes, I love how the Mighty, when like early in the match they were doing stuff that wouldn't work and Otis would kind of power up, the way they sold their fear and like, no, wait, I'm sorry. They were so, I don't know if it was Shane, because I know we've always said that Shane
I'm pretty
Thorne's
sure it was Shane Thorne that you're probably about to praise.
But I feel like Nick Miller did good stuff too. Like I feel this heel turn's been good for both of these guys.
Definitely.
And you know what this tells me?
I honestly think almost like they've almost found niches as heels because like Shane Thorne has like this sort of cheeky heel vibe about him where he's like, I'm gonna punch you in the face and then be like, oh, I wonder who did that kind of thing. And then like Nick Miller is just like that pure cowardly heel where like he'll punch you and then be like, oh my god, please don't hit me.
Yeah, I mean, I think these guys still work well as a babyface team, which is great because it shows that they have that versatility. Like they aren't just like in that one thing that they can do, and everything else is just kind of meh. Because I do think they're genuinely exciting and they have that likability to them. But I've really got to eat my words too, because when a heel turn was being teased, I wasn't too sure about it. I'm like, well, they've gone through so much and everything. I feel like there's a sentimental connection there. Are you confident in severing it and just having that heel persona? But they have owned it brilliantly. And I love that this exciting tag team, their double team finisher is an assisted lariat to the back of the head. Like, I love that it's as simple, but it's still devastating though, right? Like, I believe it to end a match. I just love that it's like a bare bones thing. No aesthetic, no flash or pop. Just like, no, I'm going to hit you in the back of the head as hard as I can. And you're just going to, black out kind of thing. It's great. It's great. And really, with these guys being a heel tag team, I'm curious who the babyface tag team that they're going to feud with is for the titles, because they will get back in the title picture, folks. Rest assured. That is going to happen. I just don't know what the babyface team is that would fill that void, especially because Undisputed Era is like ruling the world right now. You almost got to wonder, like, when are they going to be called up so that everybody else can get a turn kind of thing. But yeah, the Mighty are.
The Mighty are what, John? Oh shit, guys!
What was the last thing you heard me say? I apologize about that.
Oh, I heard the Mighty are, and then
the Mighty are freaking great. I apologize about that, folks. But yeah, the Mighty are freaking great. I'm looking forward to that.
Dude, that was so weird. You disappeared from the call and everything. I was freaking out a little bit.
Yeah, I had a misclick on my mouse. I freaked out too, but I'm like, no, if I just press the back button, I should be okay. So yeah, I'm here. But yeah, the Mighty becoming number one contenders, I think is definitely down the road. And it should be great. So unless there's anything you want to add, I'm good on this match.
All right. Well, then after this match, which the Mighty did win, and you mentioned it was basically like the lariat to the back of the head, we got a Bianca Belair promo from earlier on in the week, and she says that she is sick of every other woman saying that they deserve to be number one contender, and then she even throws shade at Nikki Cross, Kairi Sane, Dakota Kai, Candice LeRae. And then she basically just says, hey, I'm on my honeymoon. I'm going to continue enjoying it, and maybe it'll give these other girls a chance to catch up. But she doubts it.
Again, another woman a lot like Shayna. I love the delivery. Like, because, I mean, the sass and the fire she has to her when she's going through these names. And then I think she almost, like, calls them bitches, but she stops.
Yeah, yep, she definitely had that moment.
And the way she stopped and just kind of smiled, and she's like, I know what I want to say, and it's true. But I won't, because I know how to play the game. And, it's great. She oozes that confidence. I feel like she's a better Flair in a way than Charlotte Flair with how she carries herself and everything. Like she's on her honeymoon. You can see this big ass yacht and she's cutting a promo thinking about championships. That to me is more Flair than anything Charlotte Flair's done in her entire WWE run. I'm sorry. So great stuff from her. I really wonder who the number one contender is going to be, how we're going to determine it, or even if there is just one number one contender. Maybe we will have a multi-woman match. Maybe not even at Brooklyn. Maybe that'll be another NXT thing too. If we're getting an NXT world title match, would not be surprised if we got an NXT women's championship match on an NXT TV taping. But great promo from Bianca. Again, another woman seemingly finding her voice. The women's division, man, with Shayna at the center as the champion, really coming into its own again. So I'm really liking it.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, Bianca, hell of a promo for sure. Definitely charismatic. And I liked how she kind of found different ways to throw shade at the individual women that she wanted to call out. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of the women, does Kairi appear in the next segment, or is that still a few segments off? Because I'm only thinking about her because I know Bianca called her out saying like, oh, she thinks she's a real life pirate. So
yeah, I mean that's basically next. We do get the big announcements talking about how tonight we've got Gargano versus EC3, but up next, Velveteen Dream versus Chris Dijak. Then we get to the Kairi Sane, the press conference style promo that she did. You want me to just read over what she said and then you can react to it?
Yes.
I heard what Vanessa said. I think she could focus more on fighting, but it's okay. Let's have a match. Vanessa, I will beat you, make you walk the plank, and then I will take the title, the NXT Women's Championship.
Yeah, she said, I will take the treasure. She used the pirate lingo. And then when she said walk the plank, she did the walking motion. And she's the most precious entity on this earth. On this earth. Oh my God. All the continents, all this, everything, earth. But yeah, it was great. I loved it. If for nothing else, like Kairi, I actually understood the whole promo. I didn't think her English was half bad. Like she speaks at a bit of a slower, but like she really like enunciates, I feel like. But that's okay. Like that's not even like an insult. It's just, I'm used to that with the more foreign competitors that come and assimilate and like learn the language. So I thought she did fine here. Vanessa Bourne better learn her place before, she kind of runs that mouth. And I think she's going to learn it next week. But yeah, I mean, Kairi's another one. She has history with Shayna Baszler going all the way back to the Mae Young Classic. So she could easily be the number one contender. We will have to wait and see, but I love her so much and she's so perfect. So yeah, great stuff.
All right, man. Well, after Kairi's promo, we do find out that we will be getting Kairi versus Vanessa Bourne next week. And this is when we get the confirmation from William Regal as via tweet. We will also be getting Birch versus Cole next week. So that's interesting. But then we get into our third match of the night. And for me personally, this was my match of the night. Velveteen Dream versus Chris Dijak.
Do you want to go first on this or should I? Because I have stuff I want to say too, but you seem really stoked on this, so maybe you should go first.
What? I feel like I'll probably have more to say, so I'll let you go first.
Really? Here's the thing. I'm going to do something a bit different, Ashton, because every chance I get, I'm all over that Velveteen Dream dick. And I should be because he's immensely talented. I want to talk about Chris Dijak, though, because this dude, when they really get behind him, has an insanely bright future to me. I love the charisma this guy exhibited in such a short match. Like, even just the moment where, like, he's trying to pose and, like, do his catchphrase, and Velveteen puts his finger on Dijak's lip, and then Dijak shoves him, and he says, oh, you wanna steal my moment? Where are you going, huh? Where are you going? Like, almost like being that grade school bully, but in almost like a charming way. Like, oh, where are you going, huh? I'm trapping you because I'm so big. Like, I don't know why. I smiled. Like, I really like that. And knowing that Dijak has that kind of a personality in his matches. Oh, and then let's not forget other moments. Time to Fly when he just tossed him in the air and stuff like that.
That was great. Time to Fly.
Yeah, and the intensity in his delivery and everything, like, yeah, I loved more than the in-ring stuff, which I feel like we focus on so much here, and there's nothing wrong with that. It was really the personality of Dijak that won me over here, and I'm like, guys, if you really get behind him, I don't care if you want to make him a babyface, because I think he could be a stellar babyface, because, like, look at him, and I feel like he's got, honestly, in that one match, I saw more personality in that one match from Dijak than I've ever seen from Reigns. post Shield especially. And as a babyface, I should also qualify. If you want to make him a heel, I mean, dude, I wanted to ask you this. If you put a suit on Dijak and you put him with Undisputed Era, would you have any complaints about that? Because I feel like he'd be a great fucking fit. Or do you think he should do his own thing?
He definitely strikes me as more of a solo act than a part of a bigger faction. Even if it is the most badass, cool faction in wrestling right now, I just feel like Dijak is more of a solo guy.
How old is Dijak? Is he
I want to say he's around 30.
That's amazing because we'd have a lot of time with him.
31. He's 31. He just turned.
Not bad. Not bad at all. We'd still have quite several quality years to get out of him, because I almost wonder, like, I think back to how Batista started with the whole Deacon Batista, and then he goes out on his own. But Dijak seems ready now, honestly. Like, you know, he's right where he's supposed to be with NXT.
Yeah, and the biggest difference between Dijak and Batista, I think Batista only started wrestling at like 30 or 31. Now, granted, Dijak was a little bit of a late bloomer, but he started around 26 years old, so still younger than Batista and like DDP and those guys.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, relative to the stories we hear today, that is a bit on the older side.
Fucking done starting wrestling at like 13 or 14 years old.
I'm telling you, we're going to get a WWE superstar. Like, when did you start wrestling? Oh, 11 years old. You know, child labor laws, so inconvenient, right? But no, Dijak, though, I think has so much promise. And again, I wanted to focus more on him because I feel like we always talk about Velveteen. And again, we should. But Dijak was just great in this personality-wise. And really, that's all I wanted to emphasize on my end. So the floor is yours.
Oh, absolutely. Dijak was great in this match, but I've been cooling off on Velveteen Dream a little bit lately, and he just showed up and showed out in this match too, because the strikes between him and Dijak, like and Dijak, I feel like threw the most stiff strikes, but Velveteen Dream was absolutely relentless in this match. The sledges and the forearms and the punches and the kicks. Yeah, man, like Dream is really like the best sort of TV act I think that NXT has to offer. The problem is when we get to a takeover and they have to rely on him for a 15-minute in-ring bout, he doesn't really live up to that billing. That's not really his style. He needs work on that. He's got plenty of time to do it, though, because he is so young. So if Velveteen Dream's one weakness is that he's not as good in longer matches and everything else about him is fucking excellent, I'm okay with it, because this match was great, and it's obviously not exclusively because of Dijak, who was great. You know, it took two to tango here, and I'll tell you, man, these guys definitely did tango, and I just loved it. I feel like Dijak with the trash talk and Dream with just the heelish psychology, which is kind of ironic because, like you said, like Dijak almost did get in like a little bit of like a bullying spot where he was like backing Dream into the corner. He was like, "Oh, you want to one up me? Where are you going? Where are you going?" That kind of thing. Like he was blocking him, and he's the bigger guy, but Dream still felt kind of heelish here with, you know, the grabbing the feet and stopping Dijak from doing his more exciting moves like the moonsault and shit like that. So I still got more of a heel vibe from Dream here. I really I just want to see both of these guys succeed because they're both super talented.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the positive side with Dream, I absolutely agree with you where he needs work, but he's so young. There's plenty of time to do that work. And the crowd is so behind him. And given the events of the post-match, I have to wonder if maybe a turn's going to happen here and NXT is going to embrace the Velveteen so beloved by the crowd. Because he wins, first of all, with his unique DDT, which, let me just make a secondary note too, and this is the one big thing I wanted to say about Dream. I was happy to see him win with that DDT, because from the moment I saw it, I bought it as a finish, and it wasn't. So I was kind of like frustrated with that. I think that is a secondary finisher to the Purple Rainmaker elbow. You're made. You're golden. Like, it's great, because then you've got like two finishers for really any situation. And I like, too, that, I mean, Jake Roberts has got to be shedding a tear and smiling, because the DDT between Andrade's Hammerlock DDT and then, you know, Velveteen Dream, and then what we've seen lately with Gargano and Ciampa, like DDT really getting a lot of love these days. So it's really cool. But, you know, after the match, we have EC3's music hit, and really Velveteen, the way he sold it, because it's like this guy's trying to steal my spotlight. Makes a guy wonder if that's Velveteen Dream's like next.
What is it with everybody trying to steal the Dream spotlight, man? First it was Ricochet, now it's fucking EC3. What is wrong with these newbies coming into NXT, coming into Dream's house, and trying to take the Dream spotlight?
And I'm gonna be that guy straight away. What a fucking downgrade. You go from having this possibly peculiar romantic attraction to Ricochet because he's just so astounding to EC3. My God. That sound, folks, is me rubbing my temples counterclockwise. So yeah, fun match between Dream and Dijak. By the way, kudos to Dijak for taking that face plant on the steps. Good Lord. But yeah, that's all I want to say about the match. And I already started the transition, but unless there's anything else you want to say about the match, Ashton, we can move on.
No, you nailed it. You nailed it. And I definitely am glad that you pointed out about the head spot, because that was fucking brutal, dude.
That was absolutely freaking vicious.
Like, he went from standing on like the middle rope, middle turnbuckle, and then have one of his feet swiped out from under him and lands face first on the steel steps. Like, that was one of the most brutal spots I've ever seen in a throwaway match like this. Now, granted, the match was really good, but that doesn't make it any less like without stipulation, without, you know, there was nothing on the line here. It was just a random like exhibition match. And yet that brutal of a spot happened in this random exhibition match.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that said, you ready to talk about our main event?
Well, before we get to the main event, Mustache Mountain did find out that the Undisputed Era have invoked their rematch clause, and they're really just kind of all about proving that they are not a fluke. So that tag title match is going to be next week, and we're also going to get Aleister Black next week.
Yes, very excited for both of those developments. NXT is really cooking with its television product, man, and then you got, you know, NXT Championship match in 3 weeks. So they're making almost mini takeovers, I feel like, with their TV tapings. It's pretty cool. But
yeah, really good stuff.
After that, we do get our main event, EC3 versus Johnny Gargano. And dude, I'm going to be truthful. You know, I don't give a shit about EC3. So that really hasn't changed here. But I need to. And I always feel like this is good because whenever we do a takeover or anything, you know, I'm in full scumbag mode, which also means, as a result, I'm always talking about Ciampa, which is honestly how it should be because he's a brilliant fucking heel. But I would be doing a disservice to what we do here at TWitWoW if I did not talk about Johnny Gargano and what a fucking brilliant performer this dude is. Like,
dude, I genuinely feel like Johnny Gargano has gone out of his way, went above and beyond to tell a more compelling story than the NXT writers even thought about. Because I feel like there is no way that they were like, okay, go out there. We want you to have a moment in the match where you and EC3 sit up in a similar way to how you and Ciampa once sat up. We want you to give him a side-eyed look. We want you to freak out. We want you to act like he's Ciampa and you're seeing Ciampa in him and you want to just kill him. You want to beat the hell out of him. And then we want you to finish the match with the same DDT that Ciampa did to you. Like, I'm sure that some of that might have been laid out for him, but this is Johnny Gargano going out of his way to tell the most compelling story going on in wrestling right now.
You know, and what I'm about to say is a compliment. It's a bit of a workaround compliment, but bear with me here because I know with the indie scene, what's the cliched stigma that goes around, right? Oh, it's just populated by nothing but vanilla midgets. And if you look at Gargano at first glance, he would seem to fit that bill for people. But when you see this guy work, especially in a feud like this with Tommaso Ciampa, he has proven to be so much more than that. And this is me saying this, right? About a babyface. Like, I usually like a character, out character, whatever. I'm never really like gushing over babyfaces because I've always had a preference for heels. But the nuance he's been able to bring to what it means to be a good guy. I love that Gargano is really challenging, like, good guy means moral perfectibility, or good guy means this. Like, he's challenging those notions, and it's for the better. Because Gargano, you could see, was not in the fucking mood for EC3 tonight. I honestly, like, I almost would have loved to have seen because Regal apparently went off screen, right? Had the statement, oh, Gargano needs to get over Tommaso Ciampa. My nitpick with that, I wish we could have seen a face-to-face like interaction between Regal and Gargano, or Regal tells him that to his face. Because the way Johnny sells and like registers emotion, he probably would have knocked that out of the park. And it's kind of killing me we didn't get to see that interaction. But he kind of says what he kind of shows what he feels about that through his interaction with EC3 tonight. Because he is just mauling his ass. This isn't wrestling. This is, look, you're in the way. I'm sorry you're in the way, but it happens. And I want my hands on Tommaso Ciampa. And you're not Tommaso Ciampa, but I'm going to project his image onto you. And I'm honestly not responsible for what happens to you. Blame William Regal. And he just goes ham on that fucking ass, dude. And it is amazing. You know, again, not to write EC3 off, but fine. He does some of his shit. But I'm going to be truthful. Who cares? Who cares? Like this, what we saw from Johnny Gargano, this is personality. This is charisma. This is being larger than life. When you can register this wide array of human emotion and have it be believable. Also, yeah, Nikki Cross, maybe take some notes too, because I was more scared about Johnny Gargano's mental health than I've ever been about Nikki Cross's. Because just the way he looked, and I loved, you know what my favorite part about this was, honestly, is like, because there's a moment where EC3 is just like, he's rocked, right? Because John just whooping that ass. And he's done the Gargano escape. And he's gotten to the ropes. And he breaks it for because he just doesn't care. And like the one moment where Johnny puts his hands over his mouth. And he has that look like, oh dear God, what did I do? And more importantly, what am I doing? So it's almost like he registers, right? Like what's happening here? But he doesn't stop. See, that's what I love about it, is like he has that split second of being like, oh, dear God, this is what I've been pushed to. But it's almost like Johnny convinces himself that once he's been pushed to that point, there's no going back. So you have to commit. You have to commit if you want to get your hands on Tommaso Ciampa again. And commit he does. And the way he does that DDT at the end, the rope hung DDT, which, I mean, more emotion and more meaning behind that than any of the ones that Orton has done over the years. And he gets the 3 count. This might have been one of my favorite Johnny Gargano matches. Certainly on NXT TV, I think it is my favorite. And then when you factor in takeovers, obviously it's out of the running because of the stuff with Almas and all that. But like, I love
it. Really was like a one-man show though, because like EC3 just kind of wrestled your typical EC3 match. There was one point that he was just like slow it down or relax or calm down or whatever it was to try and just get Gargano to chill the fuck out because he was freaking out so much. But it really was like 85 to 90% Gargano, and the other 10 to 15% were EC3 just like getting his shit kicked in. Which, I mean, the thing is, with bigger guys like EC3, they're rarely as good at selling as the smaller guys. So props to EC3 for selling his ass off in this match.
Oh, yeah. You know what? That's fair. That's fair. Look, I don't care for EC3, but a job well done's a job well done. And he could have easily, like, not given Gargano as much as he did from the sell. And I'm glad you brought that up, Ashton, because that is where I will sincerely thank EC3, because that sell made it all the more meaningful. You know, if I saw EC3, like, roll out and hold his head and, you know, hang his head in shame, and blah, 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 it would have diminished the impact some. But no, he sold it exactly how it should have been sold. I got my ass beat. And I just need to lay here for a second, and maybe I don't even have a choice because I blacked the fuck out with my head eating the canvas. This match, this one-man show, as we'll call it, starring Johnny Gargano, this is why pro wrestling is the last great form of theater to me. Because I saw a man run a gamut of emotions in, like, what, a 10, 15-minute match? Like, this was crazy to me. I love this. Johnny Gargano's a fucking star. And if any of you have ever been like, you know, I know John always gives Gargano his props, but where's that big praise coming? This was it. This was it. Like, it doesn't get any better than this for me. And yes, I am going to resume rooting for Ciampa before too long, but it takes 2 to tango, and Johnny has played his part. To say to perfection, I think would almost be understating it. Just fantastic. Fantastic. I've got nothing else to say about this. Do you? Hello? Okay, I'm not hearing Ashton, guys. If you can still hear me, somebody comment in chat. I know we still got 7 people watching now and 3 thumbs up. Yeah, my volume's up. I don't know what's going on here. I'm concerned.
Settings.
Oh, there you. I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
You can hear me now. Good. I don't know
Yes.
what the hell just happened. My computer freaked out. You were like talking, and then it was like, brrr, and then I couldn't hear you, and then I could hear you, but you couldn't hear me. As long as we're back, we can continue.
All right, I asked you. I fielded you a question. Do you have anything else you wanted to say about this match? Because I really said my piece after all the praise I gave.
Man, that's twice now tonight that we've had weird issues with the other, and it was one of each of us too, of course. But no, I don't have anything else to add to this match. I actually stopped taking notes halfway into this match, towards the end of it, because of how intense and emotional Gargano is being.
Absolutely. So, with that said, before we get into our next segment, then I just want to do plugs very quickly, guys. You know the drill by now. All of our social media in the description box: the TWitWoW Facebook and Ashton and mine's Twitters. Ashton's Twitter, very important for the month of July and most of August. The TWitWoW schedule as the pinned tweet, guys. We have one of the highest volumes of recording I can ever remember us having in the entire history of TWitWoW. Like, so
Do you want exact stats?
Yeah. Break it down.
Okay. From the 10th of July, which is coming up in a little under a week here, until the 23rd of August, we have 57 live shows that we are going to be doing.
Unbelievable, guys.
That's over a 45-day span. So 57 shows in 45 days. That's an average of more than one show per day. And we're basically going to be dealing with 1, maybe 2, if we're lucky, days off a week.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what we're looking at here, guys. So if you want to keep your finger on the pulse of it, because Ashton edited the schedule, even very recently to accommodate for other stuff that we're doing, follow him on Twitter, or at the very least know that his Twitter has the pinned tweet, our TWitWoW schedule. That's very important coming up here, because this is insane. It's like a tsunami of TWitWoW, which, I mean, hell, I couldn't think of a better thing to happen to the internet, right? My pinned tweet is to collect Q&A questions. And just to get that out of the way very quickly, Q&A is July 26th. We do it the last Thursday of every month. My pinned tweet is to receive your Q&A questions. You can also submit your Q&A questions via our TWitWoW Facebook on a TWitWoW video. After it's done processing, you can comment under it with your questions. Discord, if you have membership, we'll get to that in a second. All viable means of submitting Q&A questions. It's 4 questions per Q&A. You can divvy them up however you want, whether it's all for both of us, 3 for Ashton, 1 for me. Any combination you can think of in your head, it's valid. So 4 questions per Q&A is the important thing to remember. Get them in before July 26th. You now have exactly 3 weeks before Q&A, so submit those questions. Also, guys, the TWitWoW Teespring store got all sorts of TWitWoW merch, from Scum Squad mugs to Drink the Tears of Your Enemies to shirts dedicated to our favorites like Emma's I'm the Real Face of the Women's Revolution. That's a shirt that Ashton made for her. We've also got a Braun Strowman I'm not finished with you t-shirt. So we've got all sorts of stuff on the Teespring, so please check that out. Patreon. Very, very great month here for the Patreon. You guys are amazing. We're still doing progress, so we're over our $120 goal. And Super Blue made an amazing donation that I think not only made progress possible, but because of him, he contributed to the TWitWoW tsunami coming to your subscription box, because we are doing live reactions to 205 Live for the entire month of July. We did our first live reaction last night. Check that out to see our live reactions to Mustafa Ali versus Buddy Murphy no disqualification. And next week, of course, headlined by my boy Tommy, going to beat Cedric's ass and take his championship. I can't wait. So yeah, 205 live reactions all month because of Super Blue's generous donation. And if you would like that power, like, oh, I'd like to know that I contributed to the TWitWoW brand, easiest way to do it, $3 a month. You get Discord access. That's pretty much our community group with the most passionate TWitWoW fans, as well as Ashton and myself. We discuss everything from wrestling all the way to video games. Like, there's a tab for everything in the TWitWoW Discord. So just donate $3 a month, and that'll get you membership access. But it also gets you, and this is why I call it a win-win-win-win, if you stay a member of the Discord, say you stay a member of the Discord, the formula I always like to use, 10 months. $3 a month for 10 months comes out to $30 a month. You can cash that in. That's the equivalent of a live reaction to a 3-hour show. And that is a power that people have wielded both benevolently and maliciously based on how we felt about the show. But the power, regardless, is yours.
Fucking Bal over here requesting us to live react to what's literally known as one of the worst, if not the worst, wrestling show of all time.
Yeah, Sal, I still love you so much, though, and I know we'll make this work. But yeah, I mean, the power is yours, guys. You've been amazing patrons, and anybody that would like the opportunity to be among them, I mean, all right there in the description box. So with that said, let us get into high spots and low shots. I'm just going to be very straightforward here. My low shot was EC3 because he got his ass
victimized.
Yeah, victimized by Johnny Gargano of all people. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. It's just when you hear the word victimized, you don't associate it with a guy of Gargano's aesthetic. But he did it, and he did it legitimately. So EC3 is my low shot. Get in the back of the fucking line. Actually, no, don't even get anywhere because I would imply that you have to get up from that ass beating. Just lay there and die. It'll help everybody. Who's your low shot?
My low shot is going to be Heavy Machinery because they literally got picked off one by one by the Mighty tonight.
Absolutely. For my high spot, let's see. What do I want to do? You know what? For my high spot, I'm in such a good mood. I'm going to be a bit different. Actually, I'll do an honorary high spot and an actual high spot. Honorary high spot, Tommaso Ciampa, because he's getting what he wants. And not only that, he's getting time to prepare for it. He's getting an NXT championship match in 3 weeks. And we'll get to see if he gets to prove himself right. All he said was he needs one opportunity. And he's getting that opportunity in 3 weeks. So Tommaso Ciampa is my honorary high spot. As far as my actual high spot, you know what? I know who actually deserves it, but I'm pretty confident you'll do him justice, and you've supported him longer than I have, admittedly, so I feel like that should be your torch to bear. So I will go with the Mighty for my high spot because they have really stepped into this heel role, done better than I ever gave them credit for, and I sincerely apologize for underestimating them. And I can't wait for them to be future NXT Tag Team Champions. And yeah, you heard that right. I definitely see them wearing the gold. If not this year, the latest is early 2019. These guys are awesome. So
very nice. I don't know, man. I feel like War Raiders are going to lock those tag titles down once they get their hands on them and maybe not lose them for a long time.
Hey, I'm anticipating a long reign from them or Undisputed Arrogant or somebody, which is why I said latest early 2019 because there's still a good bit of this year left as well. So we'll see. But who's your high spot?
Well, I mean, Adam Cole was on this show, so naturally he is my true high spot. But my honorary high spot for the week is actually going to go to someone that you might not be expecting. It's going to go to Velveteen Dream because he had a great performance in tonight's match. And because EC3's music kind of cut him off, he got a little bit more set up for a future kind of program. And he kind of won me back with this performance because, like I said, I've been cooling off on Dream for a little bit, really since TakeOver Chicago because I was so underwhelmed by his match with Ricochet. He definitely won me back quite a bit here. And yeah, I know. Props to Johnny Gargano for the amazing performance. We praised the hell out of him as well. So he obviously, I know he was probably the one that you were thinking about giving your high spot to, but yeah, I got to give mine to Dream.
Oh, well, since you gave yours, because I really thought you would give yours to Gargano, I'll say that the Mighty will be my secondary honorary high spot. So it'll be a 2-tier thing this week. And my high spot absolutely, though, has to go to Johnny Gargano. Like after that praise I sung for him, I feel like anything else would seem disingenuous. So Johnny Gargano, I can't believe it. I'm giving him the high spot. Man, this is a crazy, crazy time we're in. But is there any other comments you want to make about NXT?
Let's close it out, baby.
All right, guys, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans.
You put some spunk behind that.
Damn right. But yeah, guys, I already gave the big plugs before everything. So I'm just going to tell you to comment when this video is done processing, So, you know, talk to us, talk to us, talk to us. Yeah, I'm bringing it back. Subscribe and like the video. The more likes you leave, the more likely we are to be the top searches for NXT reviews on YouTube. And when you're the best at what you do, the top is the only place that you belong. So please leave that like. And guys, with that said, I want to plug our next commentary. I will tell you what it is because I'm going to go to Ashton's pinned tweet, which all of you should do.
It is on Friday, and it is our PWG All-Star Weekend 14 Night 2 live reactions, baby.
And we're going live with that at 4 p.m. You want to know how I know that? The pinned tweet. You get, am I doing subliminal messaging right? Probably not, but fuck it. You guys know what to do. You're intelligent. So until then, we will see you.
Doesn't subliminal kind of imply that you're being subtle about it?
Ashton, I already said I wasn't doing it right. We didn't need a history lesson. But regardless, we will see you at 4 p.m. Until then, tune in and peace out.